I hope this episode is fun because I have to get this off my chest. And I feel compelled to do this. I want to know what it is that made you buy the speakers you have right now. And I want you to tell me that information in a comment and tell me why you bought them. Basically the circumstances that led to you buying them. That's what's on my mind today. I mean, I have a good idea what makes people buy speakers in general, but I just want some specifics. And when we see all of you together in a few hundred comments, I think all of us are going to have a better idea how that works for everybody. That's what I have in mind for today. Now, I'm sure a significant number of you will have bought them direct, so you had them delivered at home and you got to decide based on the sound you heard. I'm sure that's true for some of you, but I think not for most of you. I think actually a relatively small percentage of people will actually buy the speakers based on the sound they heard at home. Or maybe at a show, or maybe at a dealer or something. But anyway, yeah, all of that, the price, the look, the feel, the touch, the build quality, the reputation of the company, all of those things come into play. But if you would weight them as to what's the most important things that make you buy speakers, that'd be interesting. Now, you step back for a second, as I just did, and say, you know, everybody that has a speaker company that's at all serious, of course, they want to make the best possible speaker and sell as many of them as possible. They all start with that premise, right? And yet, some people are way more successful than others, possibly because some of them are much more talented than others, and some of them are better at actually running a business, because starting a speaker company, a lot of what makes companies succeed is their ability to run a business. Because if you have a great product, but you're not so great with business, you're probably not going to last. And if you don't know how to consistently make the product, it's one thing to make one or two, but when you have to make 50 or 100 or 1,000, that's a different skill entirely than just figuring out how to make one speaker that sounds really good, right? So that's all part of the mix. And by the way, there will be an Audiophiliac viewer system of the day, actually more than one or two, maybe 3 or 4. We'll see how that goes, but that comes later on in today's show. And you know, part of my reason for doing this one is also the reaction, your reactions to my recent Zoo review, the Definition 6, and also the Vulti-Raz review, those 2 recent reviews. And a lot of the comments were very positive and very supportive, and by the way, a lot of them from the owners of those speaker brands. And I think that carries a lot of weight when you guys step up and say, yeah, I own a Vulti or I own a Zoo speaker and I like it for all these reasons. That's fantastic. But anyway, a lot of the snarkier comments, especially about the Zoo, because it was the Definition 6 is a $25,000 a pair speaker, that kind of bugged me a bit, because I did explain that in the review of the Definition 6 that one of my long-term reference speakers right now is, and I'm looking at it right over there, the Zoo Dirty Weekend 6, which sells for less than 1/10 the price of the Definition 6, the $25,000 speaker. So yeah, Zoo offers a range of speakers, starting with the Dirty Weekend 6 and the DWX, the bookshelf version. It starts at $1,399 a pair. So that's solidly affordable. And it goes up to $25,000 and more for the Definition 6 for all these people that got their knickers in a twist about the $25,000 price. Like, oh my God, that costs more than whatever. Well, yeah, it does. But here's the thing, because people make assumptions. Like, I would never buy that speaker. Okay, you wouldn't buy that speaker. Sean's been running this company now for over 20 years. He sells speakers. He sells expensive speakers sometimes. That's not the main thing he sells, but he does sell expensive speakers. There are people that have more money than you. Sorry, but it's true. So rich people tend to buy expensive things. So, you know, another one of my gripes, and I am venting today, is when people say things like, I know what this product costs, especially when it's a speaker, right? The comments will run something like, oh, I know that tweeter sells for $27 on Parts Express and that woofer is, $29. and the box costs this and the crossover costs that. You really think you know? You really think you know what it costs to make a speaker? Well, here's a news flash. The cost of a speaker isn't the sum total of the parts that are inside the box. The cabinet, the crossover, the drivers, finishing. That's not the sum total of the cost of building a speaker when you're in the speaker business. You know what? You have employees to pay. You have rent to pay. You have insurance. You have to market the speaker to let the world know that your product exists. You have to spend money to go to shows. Now, in the post-COVID time, 5 shows a year, 10 shows a year, or more, and that costs a lot of money for these are usually very small companies with a handful of employees. So laying out $5,000 for this show and $8,000 for that show, it adds up. That's a big cost of the price of running a business. And then you also have to have, well, if you have dealers, the cost of the margin to the dealer. If you have distributors in other countries, they get their cut, advertising. And by the way, then there's service. This is more of a thing for electronics than it is for speakers, but still offering service to your customers. This guy blows his tweeter. You have to have an inventory of your tweeters just sitting on a shelf just in case somebody needs one. That costs money. So all of these things add significantly to the cost of the finished product, not to mention a profit margin that's healthy enough to keep going and hopefully expanding your company and hiring more employees and having a bigger factory and doing more shows and just getting the word out. And by the way, speaking for myself, the cost of sending out review samples to reviewers, shipping a pair of speakers that together weigh 100 pounds or 150 pounds, that's expensive to ship it to me, then to get it back from me, and many other reviewers that get that. That can be a significant cost of running a speaker company. And you don't just do it once, because then when you come out with your next speaker and your next one or a line of speakers, you have to do that, sending it out to reviews or photographers, this or that. It all adds up. It's not the price of the tweeter and the woofer and the box. That is not the total cost of the speaker. I'm sorry to be long-winded about it, but these people, they just rub me the wrong way that they think they know what it costs to make a speaker. It's just not true. As they used to say on television, wait, there's more. To have a successful speaker company, you need to be equally skilled in, yes, designing a great product in the first place. Obviously, really, really important. But next, you need to be able to know how to run efficiently a company. You have to have a head, as they say, for business. Just because you can design something doesn't mean you know how to do that. And the third part, also super important, is you know how to let the world know that your speaker exists. You have to learn how to market the product, how to reach your potential customers. That is a hugely important skill, because even if you're a business person and you designed a great sounding speaker, that doesn't mean you know how to get it out there and let everybody know it exists. So unless you can do all 3 of those things really, really well, if you're only strong in 2 and 3, you're probably not going to make it over the long term. Anyway, I'm just saying that because I've been in the business for a very long time, and I've seen many, 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 many startups come and go because they just couldn't get their act together. That's the reality. Great sound all by itself, lots of great sounding speakers. You're not going to be that special that you're going to stand out that much. Oh, so I got one more, and that is the cost of designing and having made a speaker box, a box to ship the speakers in. And if the speakers weigh more than, I don't know, 15 pounds or so, and they get thrown around in shipping, you want them, as the manufacturer of the speakers, to arrive at their destination in perfect condition, right? Well, that costs money to get that box to withstand the rigors of shipping. And if you neglect that, if the manufacturer neglects that, a significant number of the speakers will arrive at their destination damaged in some way. And that will cause headaches and cost money for the manufacturer and also for the consumer. And you don't want to have pissed off consumers. So spending the money to make the box right, well, again, adds to the bottom line. By the way, in the comments, and I do read most of the comments in the early days of posting a video, and people say things like, I have product X, and I know it's not perfect, but blah, blah, blah. And I keep thinking, well, where are these perfect speakers? I've heard some of the world's best speakers, the most expensive speakers, and I have yet to hear anything close to a perfect speaker. And a perfect speaker's definition would be one that the music coming out of it sounds like the band is right there in front of me. But that's not ever really going to happen. We get close in different ways, and that is the thing I think is the most interesting aspect of this question about deciding on a speaker. Because they're all wrong, they're all imperfect, they have different sets of strengths and weaknesses. That is key. And here's the thing, even for you to decide, let's say when you're 20 years old, that this speaker, product J, is amazing. You love this speaker. This is the one that hits all the marks for you. Yeah, when you were 20. But when you were 30, I don't know, that J speaker wasn't all that amazing. But now that I'm got more miles under my belt, now that I'm 30, oh man, these Z speakers, these are the ones. I love these speakers. And then more time goes by, you tire of them or you hear something else. And my point is that your opinion of great or perfect or amazing or something changes over time. So even for you yourself, great sound is a moving target. And for the people out there making speakers, designing speakers, and having speaker companies, how do they know where you are in that journey and how your opinions change for everybody, right? So it's a super complex equation that's going on here, because none of us can agree as to what great sound or the best sound is. It changes all the time. Okay, I get it. Audiophiles are a fickle group. We jump on ideas and trends, and we like this kind of tweeter and that kind of mid-range. Yeah, but what about the pros? They can be more objective, right? More analytic in their tastes, because they just have to listen in a certain way to what's going down in a session or in a mix or a mastering session, right? But here's the thing, they're not. And here's my reasoning why they're not. That they're just as subject to taste as we are. Look at what they listen to. ATC speakers, Genelec speakers, PMC speakers, and some of the best mastering studios I've ever been to, Bowers & Wilkins, the big 800 series speakers. They're all over the place. Atom speakers that use ribbon, folded ribbon tweeters. All of those speakers sound different. Yeah, they sound different because they appeal to different types of engineers with different sets of taste. Yeah, all these speakers sound different because the people that designed them said this is what our speakers should sound like, and other people make other speakers that sound like that. Yeah, ATC speakers do not sound like Genelec speakers, I assure you, right? And one of the top studios, when they were based in New York, Sterling Sound, I would go into their suites, and one mastering engineer would have these big Bowers & Wilkins 800 series. Another guy had ProAct speakers. Every suite, every mastering suite had a different brand of speakers to suit the taste of the mastering engineer. So they're kind of like us. They like what they like. So they're not really that much more advanced than we are in terms of, I like it. In the final analysis, that's all that really matters, right? You buy a speaker, and hopefully you bought the right one that you can live with for a long period of time because you like it. And again, I want to hear from you as to how that's worked out, why you still like it if you've had it for a few years or a whole bunch of years, even better. How did that happen? How did you get there? All right, I think I've said my piece. Now I want to give you the Audiophiliac viewer systems, plural, of the day. Stick around for the whole set. This one came in from Brian. He lives in Naples, Florida. The preamp is a Prima Luna Prologue 3, Power Amp Prima Luna Prologue 4. Blu-ray player, which also does SACDs, is an Oppo BDP 93. DAC Shit Modi 3 Plus. Now the speakers are DIY but modeled after Deckware Zen Masters. The drivers in those speakers are Lisong full range drivers. The subwoofer features a matching Li Audio W15 powered by an NHT Sunfire amplifier with an NHT controller. The turntable is a project debut carbon with an Audiophile 2M blue cartridge and a Shit Manny phono stage. Thank you, Brian. This one comes to us from Dennis. He lives in Mexico City. He has two systems in this room. Big system, the Garrard 301 turntable with a Jelco tone arm and cables. The cartridge is a Sumiko Bluepoint high output. Preamp is a Mac C28 power amp, the legendary Mac 275. The speakers are Alltech A7s. System number 2 has a Technics SL1200 Mark V turntable with an Audiophile MC3 Turbo cartridge, high output cartridge in a Jelco head shell. The receiver is a Marantz 2270 with a Margulis BT-V4 Bluetooth streamer. The speakers are Klipsch Heresy 2s. Thank you, Dennis. Justin sent in these really pretty pictures. Now, the turntable is an Acoustic Research ES1 with a stock plinth but a Hurst motor, upgraded spring kit from Vinyl Nirvana, and a Delrin pulley. The tone arm is an Alfred Buckrand AS212 cartridge Audio-Technica AT PTG2 moving coil with an Audio-Technica head shell. The step-up transformer is a Ned Clayton custom build with Cinemag 3440 AH transformers. Then there's a fully restored, gorgeous Fisher 500C. The speakers are Graham Audio Chartwell LS35s with Gig Harbor Audio Steel stands. Subwoofer is the ever-popular Rel T5X, and the cassette deck, a Nakamichi BX150. Thank you. This is MW's system, and I gotta say, I'm not a cat person, but this one was irresistible. The speakers are Yamaha GF25s. Then there's the amplifier is a Technics A600 Mark II. For DVD, a Panasonic S500, they actually play CDs on. A Tube T5 for Bluetooth, and that's it. That's it. And this system has been going strong for 28 years. Thank you, MW. Okay, we are back. My name is Steve Guttenberg, and it's absolutely true. I am the Audiophiliac. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel with these thought pieces, with my rants, with reviews, with viewer systems of the day, interviews. I got an interview coming up with a really interesting guy, hopefully later this week, that I'm going to shoot the video. Anyway, I try to mix it up as much as possible. I want to surprise you. That is my goal. I hope that's obvious, that I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I want to keep you involved. So yeah, if you like a particular video, please hit that like button. And if you have yet to subscribe, please do so. And when you do, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time there is a brilliant new episode. And with that, I can say my work here is at last complete. Thank you so much for watching. And I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.